Hi, folks. Thank you for joining. I will put, the protocol. I'll put yourself on the mute. If you have any questions, you can write in the chat box, and I will. Actually, today we have only 15, 20 people, so you can ask after the presentation of Juan. Juan Garcia is one of my best mates in Dubai, right? We are definitely we meet a lot. We both of us enjoy our chicken and salad, healthy food, right? And Juan is an expert in supply chain logistics. He's from Mexico. He's been a business development manager. I think he will do his own introduction, so I don't want to take the limelight away from his own introduction in the profile. But the thing is, the we are pleased to have Juan because he has enormous experience and the real-time experience in basically implementing sustainability in logistics. A lot of people talk about sustainability, green logistics, but today we are going to actually learn about how you can apply those strategies in your business, right? And because this is where the key part is. So without any further ado, I will hand over to Juan. Juan, just do your introduction, mate. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about where you're working, what you've been recently doing, and then after your presentation, we'll take up the questions and we're gonna keep it interactive. And we are recording this session, and this session will be available on our SCMDOJO YouTube channel for people to watch it at later stage. And so I'll be put my basically camera off and over to you.
Thank you so much, Mudasir. Hello, everybody. My name is Juan Garza. As Mudasir present me, I'm from Mexico. I live in Dubai since 2 years. And basically, my background is supply chain and logistics. And after some conversation with Mudasir last year and this year, we spoke about the importance of sustainability in logistics. So we decided to do this webinar just to create more conscience about what is green logistics and why it's important for us. So I will share my my screen.
Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah.
Yeah, and wait. The screen is complete now, right, Mudasir?
That's correct.
Okay, so let's go. Well, basically, we will, in 30 minutes or so, demystify some things about green logistics. And why green logistics? Why is this important? Because the future is where we all are going to be in the next day, weeks, years, and we need to be interested about it and how we will. I know there's a romantic sense about sustainability and avoid plastic and carbon emissions and all of that is not sexy, but it's a fashion subject now in the professional and supply conversations. But truly, the future is inevitable and is where we all are going to be starting now. The agenda for this webinar is basically questions and points that we will answer regarding what is green logistics, elements of sustainability in logistics. We will have a management perspective also on green logistics and why it is essential to focus on this if we are supply chain professionals or specifically logistics professionals. Basically, we will talk about four parts. One is the context and concepts. It is important to have context before speaking on green logistics. Then we will talk about some myths, the most famous, in my opinion, regarding green logistics. Then we will have the management perspective on green logistics, and by the end, conclusions before the questions and answers. Okay, first of all, it is very important to understand what is the concept of sustainability, because there is a lot of information on the internet, but truly it is hard to find a good concept about sustainability. In my opinion, the best one is from the UN. Sustainability is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. That means that anything we do now that might jeopardize resources for the next generations is unsustainable. That includes unresponsible use of plastic, carbon emissions, paper, I don't know, anything that might put in trouble resources for the future is unsustainable. Therefore, sustainability is taking care now of the future resources. Also, it is very important to understand that sustainability relies in three pillars or three sections or three fundamentals: society, environment, and economy. In order to have real sustainability, we have to meet these three criteria. This needs to be in the benefit of the society, of the environment, and the economy. That said, sustainability is a global concern. The UN set 17 goals to transform the world in sustainability. I think we all know that. Here in the UAE, we have a very good example of sustainability with the Expo City in Dubai. Why? Because they are City Expo, formerly the Expo 2020 site, is now repurposed in 80% of all these structures. This will benefit people giving housing with a lot of buildings certified in LEED, using renewable energy systems, reducing the use of water, again, resources, not using harmful chemical products for the landscape, for maintaining the landscape, and also giving mobility with a dedicated metro station. In the UAE, 2023 has been declared the year of sustainability by His Highness, the President. And the Expo City Dubai site is so important, is such a good example that will host the COP28 by the end of this year. Okay, so that's sustainability. Now, how do we go from sustainability to a sustainable supply chain? Well, we need to remember again the three elements: society, environment, and economy. So in general terms, we need to have transparent operations, collaboration, disclose our progress, be consistent with the international practice and standards regarding, of course, supply chain, utilize the best possible technology in order to make things easy. We need to take into account waste reduction, efficiency in vehicles and machinery, avoid environmental impact, and also take into account economy, the circularity and recycling, cost control, because also in a sustainable supply chain, we can increase the efficiency of resources, minimize risk and vulnerability, compliance, and protect against reputational damage. I will talk about this later, and it's very important in green logistics. So from sustainable supply chain, then we go to green logistics. And I will say now that green logistics and sustainable logistics are the same. In some sources, they call it sustainable logistics or environmental logistics or whatever. In the context of this webinar and in general, green logistics and sustainable logistics are the same, okay? Now, again, in green logistics, we have the same three elements of sustainability. Society, because it is very important to remember that green logistics improves people's quality of life. In my opinion, my very personal opinion, this is the crucial benefit for society of green logistics. Why? Because it decreases traffic and congestions, decreases accidents, and secure the supply of goods. So very, very important for society. Then for the environment, of course, decarbonization, the use of less fossil fuels, and of course, the goal of net zero. Of course, also the decrease and eliminate pollution, and not only air pollution, we're talking also about packaging, about tires, for example, from vehicles, etc. And also the use of renewable energy sources, also in warehousing, forklifts, for example, and the rationalization of the use of non-renewable resources, because unfortunately, fossil fuels are non-renewable. And anyway, it is going to be very, very hard in the next 10 or 15 years to avoid completely the use of fossil fuels, but we can rationalize, and that's the spirit. And the third element, of course, is economy, ensure business continuity. Green logistics help us to ensure the business continuity. Savings in cost in time, and also safe and proper and legal working conditions for drivers, for people on the warehouse, for people in packaging, for people even in the plants. You know, a green logistics methodology helps to provide proper and safe working conditions. And then we arrive to the concept. Green logistics, all measures and actions undertaken by a business to measure and minimize the negative impact of its logistics activities in the environment, the society, and the economy. This is not very popular to say, but to be very honest, in my experience, green logistics starts small, with small measures, small changes taken on the business on how we do things in order to minimize the negative impact of our activities. If we do that and start, let's say, small and simple, that's green logistics to start with. In simple words, green logistics seeks to measure and reduce the carbon footprint of our activities, reduce air, soil, water, and noise pollution, the rational use of resources, containers, because we also use containers, and packaging, and also safe and reliable logistics operations regarding labor force, but also for the customers, equipment, and infrastructure usually provided by governments or by our own company. So in simple words, is measure, reduce, rationalize, and operate safely and reliable. Green logistics is often considered only to involve transport, forward or reverse logistics, air or land or sea transport, but in reality, it also includes warehousing or storage, packaging, waste management from our plants or our warehouses, vehicle maintenance, and information technologies. All these aspects are included also in green logistics. And all these aspects will also help us to reduce the negative impact, again, from our activities. That said, let's go to the myths. Check this one. Implementing green logistics will be expensive and will make it difficult to achieve our KPIs. This is very common. This is going to cost money and will affect our performance. In reality, this is false. It is true that green logistics in the beginning will require resources, but we need to start with what we already have available at the moment and determine what is needed on a plan of spending. It's not a matter of spending a lot of money in the beginning. We need to start with what we already have. Also, green logistics become a part of our KPIs. So there is no reason to have problems with our performance indicators if we integrate green logistics to them. Another myth, green logistics is time-consuming and cumbersome. Well, to be very honest, this is partially true, but just in the beginning. Of course, if we don't have green logistics or we're starting to implement green logistics, it will require time and effort in the beginning, but later it will become part of our modus operandi in the company. And after that, of course, it will require effort to maintain, but this has to become a natural part of the operation. Green logistics is restricted, not flexible, and does not allow us to provide the service level our customers require. Of course, this is false. Indeed, green logistics requires creativity. We need to be creative, and of course, it will take resources, meaning time, money, energy, people, labor. But in the traditional logistics, that already happened. So it's just a matter of understanding that if we adapt the green logistics to our normal operation, it will become not the new normal, the normal. Promoting, let me see, promoting and advertising our green logistics. This is very important and interesting. Promoting and advertising our green logistics practices will not bring benefits with our customers and our market. And this is absolutely false. Green logistics is, of course, is a sustainability initiative, but also is corporate social responsibility. And it is absolutely correct and to fully advertise that we are doing green logistics. This will help as a marketing benefit too, and we will also be appreciated by the customers. So we can say that this is fully advertisable, and it will give us a competitive advantage for sure. If we in logistics, this is also another one, very good one. If we in logistics are convinced of the need for green logistics, the commitment of the entire organization is not necessary. Of course, this is false. We need the commitment of the complete organization, the complete business on the green logistics. They need to understand, and I'm talking about finance, I'm talking about sales, I'm talking about maybe customer service, if customer service is in sales and not in the supply chain. Everybody needs to be on board because everybody needs to understand the importance of this, the results that logistics is looking, and the progress. And of course, they need to know the progress. So it is, we will see in the management perspective, but it is very important of the whole organization. Now, from the management perspective, the senior management needs to have conviction on the green logistics. It's not just that the senior management understands it or approves it or supports it. Conviction is necessary here. And also commitment in the entire organization is necessary. But senior management, conviction. Okay. Also, green logistics, of course, it's a cultural change in many companies, and also in the mindset of the business, in the mindset of how we deliver, how we talk to the customers, etc. Also, as I said, it's a matter of corporate social responsibility. So it's fully advertisable. And today it is a per requirement with the law. I mean, this is not necessarily the law, because legal requirements are usually less than the social corporate responsibility or the compliance or the regulatory requirements in the companies. But in the future, green logistics could be mandatory. A few ideas for logistic leaders and also for general managers, because I assume that we have logistics leaders here, or people just working in logistics. If you are a logistics coordinator, in some way, you are a logistic leader, okay? It is very important, first of all, to determine the most serious issues that we have and start with something. We don't have to start with everything at the same time, just to start with something. Seek for help. This is very important, and we usually are not so open to seek for help, but we can seek for help for sure. Use the right technology to manage, detect bottlenecks, or measure progress. Technology here is very important. And I'm not talking about, very high tech or sophisticated things. Just technology, meaning know-how, knowing how to do things. Also, we can have very good ideas on reducing waste, expenses, or environmental risk just by selecting the use of supply chain businesses or suppliers in environmentally friendly ways, okay? And also a good idea is to have routine audits, customer-facing objectives, keep track of the impact of what we're doing, because in the end, the goal is to maintain control throughout our whole operation. But of course, we need, in order to know if you can measure, you really don't know. Also, this is a little more sophisticated, but also carbon offsets can be purchased by businesses, I mean our customers or your customers, in order to have control of the supply chain. So these credits are that help an organization to reduce carbon footprint and sponsoring green projects. Of course, we can also have eco-friendly packaging and storage. This is very simple, and in time is getting easier and easier to get eco-friendly packaging. Lean logistics concepts and approach, that's very easy. Lean logistics is actually, I don't want to say an old concept, but it's not new. And actually being lean in logistics is also being green. Learn about governmental regulations. This is very important because it's changing every time. So learn about the regulations and the impact of the business on the supply chain, but be aware about the governmental regulations is very, very important. And also try to align our targets in green logistics with the sustainable development goals that I show in the beginning, the UN goals for the 2030 agenda. I think that's it. Conclusions. Green logistics, if you forget everything I said, just remember this slide. Green logistics is possible and achievable. This is very important. It is a marathon. It takes time. It's not a sprint. Brings business opportunities, that's for sure. Enhances the business continuity, also, that's for sure. Protects your business reputation, reduces the supply chain issues related with SCG. Now is a very critical topic, SCG on companies. Improves corporate compliance. Your legal area will be very happy on this. And also it will minimize your regulatory risks. So this is going to be for sure an advantage with customers in the future. It is already happening. Many customers are willing to pay extra for more sustainable options. So it's just a matter of time to receive benefits from green logistics. I think that's it, Mudasir. To everyone, this is my LinkedIn. I will put it on the chat. But that's it. I think we can move on to questions and answers.
Yeah, sure. First of all, I'll already get a couple of WhatsApp messages. That very nice presentation, Juan. Very nice. Thank you very much. And as you said very nicely, the lean is green. And as we say, if you want to get lean, eat green. So everything which is lean and green is lean is pretty relevant. So very good presentation. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and the aspects. Guys, we had about 20 people, so that's pretty good engagement so far. Guys, it's an interactive session. This is your time to interact with Juan, ask any questions, get any tips. You can ask him anything actually. Well, you can ask him personal questions as well. He doesn't mind answering those as well. So right. So over to you guys. Any questions from anyone?
Any questions? Feel free.
Feel free. You can ask me if you want as well, so we see what we can discuss.
Yeah, Mudasir knows more than me, so.
No, not on green. That's not my area. I would never. So there's two things there's three areas in supply chain where my knowledge are pretty weak. One is sustainability. Second is risk, and the third is trade compliance, right? So there are three areas which I wouldn't say I know much now. That's not my area of interest for I don't know for what reason, but yeah, never get my attention enough to do my own study on this. I know enough, but not enough to be an expert. All right. So
Okay,
I
so
think
questions, guys.
we got
Guillermo
we
from
got
Chile,
question
do you want to ask something
we
in
got
English?
a
Just
question we got a question from Mason. Mason, why don't you shout up yourself? Maybe show your face
Hi,
as well.
hi, Juan. Sorry, I just thought that you, in the beginning, you said to write the question in the chat box. So I prefer writing over there.
That's fine. Now, I think we just get things going. But now, please, yeah, open your camera, ask the questions.
Okay.
Go on, Mason. Over to you.
hey,
Um,
Mesum.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, all good. How are you?
Well, my question is pretty much simple because I see the screen logistics are very much acceptable in the industry. But I really want to know the real-time examples that we can or that currently market is accepting or implementing as a best practice for the green logistics. So what can be these initiatives that we can immediately start in our businesses? Secondly, can consolidating the cargoes be another initiative that we should look on and we should further focus to make this initiative as a green?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So actually, it's three answers. First of all, on your question, you're asking me real time example or initiatives. Okay, I will start answer you this, Mesum, with it's a little sophisticated example, but I love it. In the US, I'm not sure if in the UAE, but I'm sure in the US, Amazon, for example, started to promote with the customers the Amazon Day for delivery. That means that if what you are ordering in Amazon is not so urgent, and you can wait until next Tuesday or whatever, because that day they are consolidating in your zone the deliveries, it's a genius example for me, because sometimes we can wait. So sometimes people, things on Amazon are not so urgent, or we can wait after the weekend or whatever. But imagine a company like Amazon doing that, the impact is huge. And also, as a customer, you feel good because you are helping the environment, avoiding, the overnight delivery or the next day delivery that costs money and has a different footprint. Also, Amazon is showing you on your invoice in the US, in some states, the carbon footprint of your delivery. As I said, this is a corporate social responsibility matter. So I don't know if that answers the first part of your question. The second part is that answer, Mesum?
Yeah. Because
Okay.
I was basically thinking of the same issue here because we have Daraz and Amazon have the same concept. So they consolidate their shipments and they send over the cargoes over the next 3-4 days and consolidate all their requirements and try to bring some sustainability and some green logistics initiative. So that's pretty much what I was asking.
Yes, and also you said consolidation, Mesum.
Yeah.
If you want to start simple with green logistics, consolidation is a very good point. That's for sure. But also, you know what? In my experience, consolidation is a matter of speaking with the customer. Why? Because usually when you are consolidating, it will delay because you need to wait until the truck or whatever is full. But sometimes if customer service is aware of this and they speak with the customer and say, you know what, I can deliver 2 days after or whatever, because we're consolidating. Sometimes the customer might say, yeah, why not? And we will all help and whatever. And I don't know. So consolidation for sure is something to start with. And the other thing is scheduling. Sometimes we need to, in a good way, educate the customer, or this traditional thing of, okay, we will receive orders until 1 o'clock, then prepare in the afternoon and deliver the next morning, is a very healthy way to handle logistics. In logistics, the urgent things or emergencies are costly, but also are usually environmentally not friendly. I don't know if that answers your question, Mesu.
I just want to expand on the point Juan make on the talking to a customer. So I'm gonna give you a real life example. When I was a UK supply chain manager for Eaton, we used to make electrical products distribution, electrical circuit breakers, fuses, and all that. Our main customers was this distributor. We used to have our own fleets. I'm talking about nearly 10 years ago, right? When the fleet, we haven't really outsourced our logistics. So what used to happen, a distributor literally used to order every day, and the truck used to drop across the country in a round robin every day, which was ridiculous because then we figured out they don't really need why we drop the same box of a circuit breaker or a certain switch, right? Then we talked to a customer, we said, you know what, you order a quantity which basically you orders on, some customer we said orders on Mondays and Thursdays, you orders on I think Tuesdays and Fridays, and then we're going to deliver you next day when you're going to order. So by doing that, it helped them doing the consolidation of the order. That means it has improved the whole level loading of the demand. So it has basically take out the lumpiness from the demand. So we consolidation. It helped the customer because the thing is, rather than delivering short deliveries, which they need, fine, you still have to receive the delivery. You have to do the booking, booking in, then you have to put away. It's extra labor for them. So if they receive a full pallet of something, which they're gonna take it off the truck, put it in, and then they have to do only twice a week. And when we thought the sales, so when we float this idea of scheduling the deliveries based on the route optimization to a certain distributor, the people who was opposing the most was our sales team. Like literally, then tell no, it will reduce the sales. We will not get enough orders. Customer will not place enough orders, and we're gonna sales will decline. Actually, it was the opposite effect. Customer liked the idea when we talked to them. They said, "Yeah, we'll do it. It help us out internally as well. It will drive efficiency. It will reduce the deliveries. It will reduce the freight cost you charge us because if you deliver less and the key balance was that they want to have a shelf. They want to have a product on the shelf. If they have a product on the shelf, right, and they don't mind reducing number of deliveries because it reduces the fuel, it reduces the transportation cost, it reduces the handling cost, because all of that adds up to total logistics cost. And on the top of that, it of course reduce carbon emissions, right? So real hand example absolutely works. It has worked everywhere as well. So that's the only addition. Now we have one more question from Usman Moro. Hello, Usman.
Hi, hi. My name is Osman. I wanted to ask, is there availability or are companies or people willing to invest in green logistics? Because when it comes to green and when it comes to the environment, you see people that are in for and those that are against certain policies, I should put it, that are to the advantage of the environment. Others see this also as a threat to their businesses. So in this way, how do you put in or get funding when it comes to the business of green logistics entirely? Thank you.
Thank you, Osman. In my experience, the resources come from the company. There's no other place. That's why the general management and sometimes if it's, let's say, a familiar company or an owner company, well, of course, the money for green logistics comes from the company. It is very hard to find companies willing to invest because what they really want to do, I mean, you will find a lot of suppliers trying to sell you, or consultancy firms or trying to sell you services that will enhance or will help you to achieve green logistics, right? But trying to answer your questions, I will say the money comes from the company. But you know what? It's not extra money. It's actually using the money, the logistics budget, on a different way. That's why on the ideas, the first thing you need to do as a logistician is an assessment on how we are impacting with our, that everything starts with that. Because, you know, everybody's thinking, for example, in electrical trucks, okay? Electrical trucks are very expensive, and it will take time to change our fossil fuel trucks to electrical. But also, and this is very unpopular, but I need to be very frank about this. Also, okay, we can have, it's very good to have electrical vehicles, but in many countries in the world, 80 to 90% of electricity anyway is generated from fossil fuels.
Yes, very true.
And also the lithium from the batteries and all of this, I know it is not very popular. And I'm not against electrical vehicles. I don't want to say anything wrong. They're very good because, of course, they help a lot the cities and in many ways. But it is not going to be easy for many companies to start having fast electrical vehicles. That said, my recommendation is always start small with an assessment, because many things in green logistics can be done just changing simple things that, as Mudasir and Amased were saying, changing schedules, giving culture, having a schedule. It starts with all of that, having good maintenance on the vehicles, providing good labor conditions to the driver, for example, because they're not supposed to be tired, because we're also talking about less accidents, accuracy, services level. They need to fulfill a schedule, okay? So there is a lot of information on internet. You just need to Google it, and you will have a methodology of assessment just to have a diagnostic on your operation, and start small with one thing each month. After a year, you will be done with 12 changes, and you will be in green logistics in some way.
Thank you. Thank you. Very
And
grateful.
I would just add one more thing here. The certain governments, I don't know which country you are in, Osman, but certain governments, let's pick Europe, for example. You pick UAE, where me, myself, and Juan is the government. One of the sustainability in transport is one of the top agendas. That's why they're investing a lot of money on train, the metro stations. They're building this Ittihad rail, because they don't want people to drive back and forth to Abu Dhabi and Dubai, for example. The traffic is developing. So furthermore, if you have an electrical vehicle or electric truck or even electric cars, you don't have to pay toll tax. You don't have to pay parking, right? The electricity charging is free. Furthermore, the government is saying if you are working on any startup or a project which is essentially contributing to this government agenda of the sustainable transport, they will give you some subsidies, some grants and stuff, right? And the same within UK. If you have any project on sustainability, there is some grants available. I know in Europe as well, the European Union as well. So again, I'm not sure which country you are in, but if sustainability is the one of the agendas of the government, there is some, I think, subsidies or some grants available to use, but that's something you have to do your own research on.
Thank you. Thank you also, Doctor. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm,
Cheers, guys.
I'm one of your keen followers on both Telegram and then Twitter and then all the social media. I follow you a lot. I follow you, and I'm learning a lot from you too.
I'm humbled and honored, my friend. It's a pleasure is all mine. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, Atik, you're next, buddy. Atik, he had the question.
Atik.
Here you go.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Mudassir. Actually, I'm already been answered regarding that. I wanted to ask about what are the solution or strategies that we can use to reduce the carbon emission of your fleet. But I think Mr. Juan has already said that not all the countries can afford electrical vehicles. So I wanted to ask, what are some other strategies that these companies can use to reduce the carbon emission of their fleet?
Okay, I'll tell you a trick. Very simple. First, proper vehicle maintenance. And that's expense that you will need to do anyway. So keep the vehicles in the best possible shape will help to carbon emissions. That includes tires, the tires from the trucks. Also, route optimization. For example, the company I work for here in Dubai, we develop a software to optimize routing on deliveries. But that can be done either by hand. Of course, if you have a software, or you can use Google Maps or what. But if you optimize your routes, you will also be helping to reduce carbon emissions. And the third thing, so it's maintenance, route optimization, and also customer conscientization. I don't know if I'm explaining myself. Talk with the customers, as we were saying. Try to uniform your schedule, your delivery dates. Of course, be punctual. But if you optimize the route using a good vehicle on the right schedule, you will use fuel in the less possible way without jeopardizing your service level. At some point, you will need to use fuel, and you will need to use the truck, and the truck will be delivering. But if it's on the best route with the best possible shape of the vehicle, and on the right schedule, it will be the less possible. I don't know if that answers your question, Atik.
Yeah, that's pretty much answered my question. Thank you, Mr. John, for explaining.
And also, Atik and Osman, what I'm saying is simple. You are already doing it. It's just a matter of doing it right.
Yeah, that sums up everything.
Good. I think Guillermo was also asking something on the chat, Mudassir.
No, I don't think so. He was just trying to repeat.
It was a comment.
It was just more a comment. He said that is a good question. So how we can measure or determine the KPI to let us track.
Before that, there is a message also from Guillermo saying, so if you have more info regarding this and can share on your emails, please. Sure, you can reach us on LinkedIn, Guillermo. I will put my LinkedIn again. But actually, another recommendation for green logistics, guys, is not to over-inform yourself. I think we need to mute Rose, Mudassir.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Thank you. Guys, this is also important. I'm taking, good sources of information for this, but there is a lot of over-information on internet and sometimes wrong information regarding sustainability and green logistics. So take a good source of information. I like a lot McKinsey, for example, is very good. The UN, the United Nations website for sustainability is very good. DHL, all the big logistics companies, DHL, FedEx, UPS, they have a lot of information about sustainability on their website. Just read and try to copy from them as much as possible. That's it. They already are the benchmark on sustainability. It's just a matter of see if we can copy from them.
Yeah, as Pablo Picasso said, right? Good artists copy, great artists steal. Be a great artist. That's what we are.
Exactly, and also adapt and improve. Why not? As I said, green logistics is advertisable. DHL, UPS, FedEx, they are advertising their sustainability initiatives. Why? Because they want also to educate the market and to show what they're doing. Well, we can copy. Why not? If it's good, why not?
All right, folks.